Hello there, and welcome back to The Governor Show. The Governor Show is dedicated to board enthusiasts which wants to debunk the myth around board governance. The show is a series of weekly episodes featuring talented and experienced guests who will share their experience and their long experience sometimes with the audience. You can find all the content on our social media, video, podcast, and please, if you enjoy the show, subscribe on those channels. My name is Xavier Pansard, and today I have the honor to welcome Bruno Coleman. Hello, Bruno Coleman.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Very good. I would like to introduce you. I think everybody knows you, but I have also a surprise with an object. I will describe it just after your introductions. So, Bruno Coleman, you are a Belgium University professor, financier, tax expert, author, and economist. You are a member of the Royal Academy of Belgium, and you also advise governments and business leaders on economic matters. Next to that, you are a consular judge at the Commercial Court of Brussels.
I used to.
You used to? Mm-hmm. Okay. Since you have experience. Currently, you are the CEO of Banque de Grove Petercam. And last but not least, Bruno, you are the author of the co-author of more than 80 books and more than 5,000 articles published since 1991. Just wow, to say the least. Welcome. It's an honor to have you at the Governor Show, Bruno.
Thank you.
Before going deeper in the questions, I would like to hand over to you an object. And the object we choose for you today is this nice pen. Please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Why? That's why we give it to you, this pen. The pen symbolized both the act of creativity through writing and the process, the instrument of transmission to others. It's also a symbol of knowledge. It's like the extension of the hand that transcribes the idea, the reflection on a material support, to end up becoming an independent object, a document which, if it escapes its creator, makes survive a part of its thought beyond time and make it immortal. And we do believe that that is perfectly fit to your personality, Bruno.
Thank you, because I'm a big lover, a big fan of fountain pens, so I appreciate that. Thank you for that.
No problem. The topic of the day is threat within the board of directors. And I have a little anecdote for you. Last year, just before the lockdown, you discussed risk with Jacques Attali. Is that right, I think?
True, it was in February, I think, last year, yes.
About social, ecological, tech and political issues. And this fit perfectly with our topic of today. Know what actions a board of directors needs to take in order to cope with this structural risk is what we're going to talk about now.
Yes.
So my first question for you, Bruno, is the following. The notion of risk has evolved very strongly. What's the impact for board of directors as follows?
You know, if we put things in perspective, one has to admit that we are in the middle of something that was totally unexpected. Of course, many people retrospectively would tell you that it could have been foreseeable, but really no. We went through this pandemic. We had a demand and a supply shock at the same time, a dismantling of social structures, and it's not the end. And so that's a good lesson for board of directors, because it means that a board of directors has to look ahead of events. And I would say has to expect the unexpected. By that I mean that we always think in a linear way, thinking that the short-term future will be the same as the long-term past. And we have to factor in disruptive events. For example, one thing that could happen in the future would be a global hacking around the world. It could be a lack of electricity.
Yes.
It could be a shortage of water. Many things that we do not anticipate today because it's hard to contemplate, but at the same time, it may happen. For example, another thing would be social disorder, unrest, social unrest. That's something that can happen. and that probably, I think, will happen because of the pandemic. And all these events has to be factored into a business case, which means that today at board levels, business cases must be, I would say, designed with a volatility cone. By that I mean that there should be several assumptions, many sensitivity analyses, just to make sure that in the middle of all this, the path can be found. So it's a total wake-up call for board of directors. It's also the illustration that either in a company you are extremely concentrated in one business that you monitor, or on the opposite side, you are highly diversified in order to absorb shocks that you could not anticipate.
Does that mean that we need to raise up more competences, of new competences in boards?
Well, I would say yes.
New profiles?
New profiles, more variety in academic backgrounds, more diversity. And by diversity, I do not mean only men and women, but also different cultures, different ages. Usually at board level, you have older people, which means that sometimes there is a bifurcation between the way they think and what is happening in the market. I think that every company should have a futurologist, but again, that's hard to achieve because a board is also the management of people, the management of a group, and if one starts to think and to act in a different way, it can be expelled from the group using the argument that it doesn't feel what is the real DNA or legend of the company. So that's why the diversity of profiles is not a guarantee, but helps to absorb unexpected events. And to some extent, boards should work on unthinkable scenarios. I'm working at a bank. We have multiple times thought about the dismantling of the euro. What would be the effect of a sharp interest rate increase? What would be the effect of a huge downturn in the markets?
Indeed.
And we have to deal with that because one day, even with a very low probability, it could happen.
Now, how you do that? How you make the board more knowledgeable about those risks? Do you have processes, people who come to speak about topics, of experts coming along, observers? Because board members need to be fed by you guys.
Very true. But at the same time, we are helped by the regulators. So
Okay.
in the banking industry today, there are very I would say extreme scenarios being designed by the regulators. And any bank must show how it could survive in case these extreme events would materialize. For example, what would happen if there would be a collapse of the mortgage market, the real estate market? What would happen if the market would decrease by 50%? So all these events have to be measured, and the bank has to provide an answer to the regulators showing it can survive or maybe not survive. And I think it's a good way to go ahead because it provides safety to all parties, including the clients of banks.
Yes.
But if I wouldn't be working for a bank, I think that I would, by the way, we did that in addition of what the regulators asked us at the bank, I would display a vast array of scenarios, extreme scenarios, to show what could happen, knowing that some of them could kill everything. For example, if there would be a shortage of electricity or a global hacking, multiple businesses would collapse, like we see this happening in the pandemic.
Yes, for instance, you talk about the real estate crisis, like we had in 2008 and 2009. COVID is completely different. COVID crisis is completely different. So how board of directors / banks reacting against unexpected crisis in that particularity?
Since it's unexpected, there is no solution to prevent things that de facto are unexpected. I think that the solution is collective intelligence and the ability to mobilize the people who are ready to work on issues. So at the bank, of course, we could not anticipate the seriousness, the depth of the crisis, but at the same time, some people had decided that everybody should be able to work remote. So we could switch on a remote basis almost overnight without any IT glitch during more than 1 year, because we had collective intelligence. So I strongly believe that in times of crisis, it's about having a group of people being able and empowered to make rapid, quick, intelligent decisions.
At board level as well?
At board level also, but I think that the board has to delegate in times of crisis, has to delegate the day-to-day decisions to the executive committees of this world. And it's at that level that day-to-day adjustments can be factored in.
Understood. I do have a second question for you, Bruno, today. How should board of directors adapt to the rapid geopolitical and societal evolutions we see today?
That's a big issue. What I see is that there will be deep changes in the society. I would call them. I guess it would be hard for me to make a statement about the worldwide economy, but if I would focus on our countries, like European countries, Western European countries, I think that the demographics, the social, political issues will be different 5 years down the road. And we cannot take the model we have been used to for granted. There will be changes. One of the changes will be that the disparity between wealthy people and people without a job is increasing. The welfare state cannot do everything to compensate for that, which means that there will be probably social issues, social unrest, and that is something that companies have to take into consideration. It's hard to figure out how it will change. It may affect taxation. It can affect, I would say, relationships between people. The most important thing is to remain flexible and to be aware. I think that the role of a CEO and the role of a board member is to be kept awake at night, thinking of all the issues, and again, I'm going to repeat myself, unexpected issues that could hit the company. Because the day a board member starts to think that nothing can happen, I think it's not at the right place. It always makes me think of Charles de Gaulle, the French president. When he was greeting the nation at the end of '67, he told the nation that nothing unexpected or unfavorable would hit the year '68, and then the month of May came, and it was a total changeover. So it's about thinking about unexpected events. Yes.
So some people say that a board member, the persona of the board member is a reactive passive persona. Reactive passive. You just told us that we need to keep the board member aware,
yes,
knowledgeable, and how could we do that when sometimes board members are more passive and reactive, rather than to be proactive? Forward thinking.
That's the role of the chair of the board.
The chairman?
The chair of the board. I'm lucky to be in a company where the board is extremely proactive. There are big ways challenging the management committee, which is a good thing, because it forces people to think about the future, to think about things they hadn't thought before. I think this is the role of the chairman. The chairman of a company, the chair of the board, plays a critical role of a company because he's the one supposing to make the link between the shareholders representatives, and by that I mean the board members, and the management committee. So it's a very, very important position. And in all the companies I was lucky to work for, the chairmanship was handled in a very effective way.
Yes.
Since I started to be a board member. Yeah.
It's a teamwork, chairman and CEO.
Yes,
I guess.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
All right. Third question for you, Bruno. How can the board of directors remain relevant with technologies evolving at a rapid pace? Today we see AI coming on board, blockchain. Every single week we see some more technology rising up. How could we make really the link between board of directors and technologies and need to keep them knowledgeable about technologies as well.
It's a good question because technology changes so fast that it's hard to cope with the rhythm of change. And I'm going to turn 60 in a couple of months. Even for me, it's difficult. Honestly, when I take a newspaper, I realize that year after year, there's a portion of things, of topics that are not of interest to me, which is a mistake. And so I think the role of experts is extremely important. The board should be ready to have off-site meetings, to have to open itself to lectures by consultants, by people who are, I would say, educated or in specific areas. And that again is a question of variety, because if there is no variety in a board, there will be no trigger to invite these people. But if there is variety, there will be always people with fractal interventions, and they will push the board to open up to the new ideas. But that's a big issue, because, as you know, at traditional companies, board members are usually made out of people who are extremely intelligent, but who are usually a little bit older.
And strongly opinionated sometimes.
And stronger and opinionated, as I rightly say, a little bit older than the average or the median age of the people working in the company. So, and if you would ask a young guy, a guy of 25 years old, to sit in a board, I think the codes of the board would seem so strange to him that he would push back the offer. So it's hard. So it's a question of being open all the time, being curious. And I tell all my managers that they should, and all my students, because I teach a lot at universities, that they should spend at least an hour per day listening, reading, opening up to new ideas, rather than thinking that the way they think is the only one that is relevant.
You are the CEO of a bank. Does that mean that we need to break the codes? We need to change the codes currently used at board level? Just and open the gates to the young talents of younger people who have the technology knowledge?
It's a good point. To me, the ideal situation, and we haven't done that at the bank, would be to have a shadow board of directors made out of younger people working at the bank, or maybe working from outside parties, just to make sure that we are open to the changes. Because there's also an issue. If somebody of my age sees the change only by discovering the change, he will never be an actor of the change, of course.
Of course, yeah.
I will not be able to think what is today unknown to me.
Iterate for the future.
It's about iteration.
Yes.
You rightly say iteration, that's true. So a kind of shadow board of directors in order to make sure there is an interaction between the younger people and the one running the companies. At the same time, knowing the codes of running a company is also important, because a company is about a methodology. It's about providing safety, security to the people, to the stakeholders of the company. So you cannot, I would say, explode the company with only your own thinkings.
Of course, of course. Thank you very much, Bruno. We learned a lot, I think, today about risk at board level. First of all, it was an honor to welcome you today. May I ask you just to put the pen on the shelf, just to remind you your presence today.
Thank you.
Thank you again. It was an honor. It closed the chapter of risk at board level. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to know more about the show, please subscribe on social media and on our website. Thank you very much, and see you next time.